All right, welcome back, ladies and gentle jammers, to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host, Larry, the most delectable Chupacabra man, and we're back. The Ludum Dare number 39 adventures are about to begin with the overall jam theme of running out of power. Now, what kind of power could we run out of? Well, I'd imagine there's probably some pretty broad categories that we could run out of power in. We could run out of magical power. You know those wizards always wasting all their magic, turning people into toads, conjuring gazebos out of small gnomes in front of all of their friends and family. And then, of course, there's mechanical power, where you could run out of diesel fuel while you're in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. Or maybe even we're going to run out of godly power, of the philosophical kind, which leads our adventurers to run out of overall enthusiasm. But no matter what power we're about to run out of, we're gonna dive right in, starting with a couple of games that I pulled off of the activity feed or the post feed on ldjam.com, because I was waiting for people to send me some awesome games in my little Google form, so I felt that would be the best way to kick things off. So we're gonna start out here today with Dadoor, which is made by Igor Foles. And this is a jam entry where we play as a gallivanting knight who goes deep within, he or she I should say, goes deep within the dungeon to defend their wizard friend as they try to blast down an ancient magical door, which presumably is guarding vast hordes of treasure and probably additional power. So let's just jump in here and see how this whole thing goes. So essentially, this is a defense mission inside of what could be attributed to a hack-and-slash adventure game, or an action RPG adventure game, something like Diablo, where we have our lovely knight friend, and we have to defend our wizard, I'll probably just call him Merlin or Magic Mackenzie, as they blast down this door. And we have to defend them from ever-increasing and even more deadly hordes of these two-legged iguanas who don't really take too kindly to people invading their home and breaking their stuff. And that's basically the long and short of the game. We just gotta keep our wizard friend alive and steal all this delicious loot from these lizards. I mean, they don't even have thumbs. What are they gonna do with gold and loot and doubloons anyway? And to help us along on this little mission, we have a couple of abilities of varying degrees of usefulness. We've got a seismic slam ability, which summons a bunch of spikes, which I think would be more useful if it did something like briefly stun or incapacitate our enemies. And then we also have a whirlwind ability, which allows us to cheese grater down their health with very minimal risk to ourselves, all the while trying not to get nibbled to death. I mean, these guys look like they're dangerous, but it also doesn't look like they have particularly big teeth, so I would say they fall under the category of nibbling to death. Now, the one thing I'm not entirely certain about in Dadoor is what exactly it is that we're running out of power. Certainly the door is running out of health that we're destroying in the back of this room, but I'm starting to wonder if it has something to do with these magical runes at the edge of the room that occasionally the enemies will attempt to destroy. Are those the magic focus that our wizard friend is trying to use to blast down the door, so if the runes run out of health and get destroyed, we run out of magic to blast down the door? Or is it something more along the lines of we're running out of power, so we have to go into this ancient dungeon to get some magic to help save our kingdom from this or that evil creature that wants to kill and eat everybody? I mean, I don't know about you, but I've got a very delicious spleen, and I would just assume that it stayed on the inside of my body instead of being eaten by all of these evil iguanas. And that's, I mean, beyond that question, I think that this game is pretty well put together. I've played a lot of top-down hack-and-slash adventure games that were kind of on the extreme iffy side. There's a lot of those that, like, you walk around the room and your legs get caught up on different obstacles. And you don't have to worry about that. The worst thing that this game has going for it is the fact that it's kind of hard to figure out where the hitboxes are on these monsters and time their attacks so that you don't get killed. Also, it's kind of hard to get any health back after you start to lose a lot of it, because as you go through more and more levels, you get less and less drops, it seems, of health potions, and then eventually you just get murdered. But everything else is solid. Like, these graphics, while not AAA photorealistic graphics, they all feel very retro-inspired, and they feel like they fit together pretty well. The abilities, while not crazy interesting, they all seem to do a nice job of killing your enemies. I just wish that there was like a talent tree that we could get additional abilities to fill out our other buttons on our keyboard, like maybe 1 through 6 could be additional abilities. Could hit more than just Q or E, we could hit like F or R. We could get all sorts of abilities. You could play different classes in this game. I could very easily see this becoming a not too serious hack and slash adventure game or top-down hack and slash like Diablo very easily. All you'd really need to do is figure out what kind of really fun story you could take people on to really get them invested in these characters, and you'd be good to go. The sounds are all on point, although it sounds like the soundtrack might be a pre-made soundtrack from another source. So the whole package is very nicely put together in that whole 72-hour period. So what kind of story could I imagine Dadoor being involved with? Let's just throw some stuff on the ground. Like, let's say this is kind of like an anime dungeon crawler experience where we've been brought to this world, maybe against our will, maybe inadvertently, and the only way that we have of getting out is maybe in somewhere in these ancient ruins from a long-lost civilization, there is a spell that could send us home. And we make friends with a wizard who is hell-bent on increasing their own personal fame and fortune by exploring these ruins, as it's like their big-time research project from the local magic university. And we escort them as they delve deeper and deeper into these mines and these dungeons and these ancient temples to try and solve the mystery of what happened to this magical Atlantis. And you could have all sorts of twists as to what befell this ancient empire or so forth, and maybe along the way you meet like the love of your life and you decide not to leave this world after all, and it turns out that the ultimate magic is really just friendship. But you gotta word it in a way that Mickey Mouse doesn't try to sue you, because Mickey Mouse has kind of got the whole power of friendship to overcome all obstacles kind of down pat at this point. But other than that, like, I feel like this game has some potential. It feels very solid, and I like everything that's going on here. The particle effects with this laser beam are on point. You got these cool magic runic circles that summon the creatures. Again, my really only conceptual question is what exactly about this falls into the category of running out of power? Because it looks like on several occasions the monsters have killed at least one of my magical runes. But the wizard takes forever to die. Like, I could probably just ignore the wizard, Magic Mackenzie, and he would be fine. So I don't know. But otherwise, this feels really solid. You just gotta kind of smooth it out, give this world a reason to be inside of it, put together a little story, a little adventure that you can go on, and I feel like this could be another compelling game to add to the Steam curation list for Ludum Dare on Steam. So very nice job, Igor Falls. I like it. Keep up the good work, and I'd love to see you expand upon this with some more enemies, some more abilities, maybe some classes that like sling magic or something. And this could be a nice hack and slash, although you'd have to give people the option to either keep a perspective like this with nice open rooms, or to have it where you could zoom way out and have a top-down hack and slash type adventure. One of those two would be perfect. Alrighty, next up we've got Saturnalia, which is another jam entry, and this one is made by Graybar. And Saturnalia is an interesting one. This is definitely a prime candidate for first place for the atmospheric category, or graphically atmospheric category, It's a hidden category, alright? I know it's not technically a category, but no, I like this game. Like, it's got a great atmosphere, and essentially what's going on here is we have to complete some type of ancient ritual. There used to be some type of festival that was held around probably one of the equinoxes, where you align a number of devices to complete a ritual that has to do with the reflection of the stars and also the planet that you see floating above this world. And right off the bat, I can say that this really reminds me of a lot of different anime movies that I've seen, or definitely just anime shows in general, where it's a very classic graphical component to have a whole bunch of extra telephone and power cable poles scattered throughout the environment as you enter some type of weird Shinto-esque dimension that has been mashed up with the modern day. So I definitely get that vibe all over the place here. And essentially what this is it's a miniaturized, very quick to play, point and click adventure where you have to activate this long forgotten ritual. And the idea here is that this ritual has something to do with the stars, and that in the grand scheme of the universe, even the power of the stars themselves will fade. So maybe this is a ritual that is meant to renew the power of the stars, of our planet, of the sun, something therein, and I like the intentional vagueness of it, mixed with an almost mysticism where you're using modern technology to interface with ancient ritual. It's always been something I've been really keen on. All of that fantasy meets technology, because I've always been one of those people who give me robots, maybe give me robots with magic, and I am good to go. Like, that is some of my favorite genres of both TV, books, and movies. So right now we're activating a number of solar panels, or maybe reflective mirrors, and this will allow us to interact with all of the stars that make up this long-forgotten ritual. And it has something to do with these three little power nodes down here as it all pertains to like this central focusing hub. So now if we click on this, this will actually let us look up, and now we have one of two pathways that we can take. So over on the left, well actually they're the same sort of thing on either side, we have to connect these two stars in order to gain their power and use them within the ritual. And this is basically a little mini game, almost like a mini hacking game that you would have played in BioShock or maybe Deus Ex, where you have to route the power from one star to the other. And the pathways are not always straight. So you gotta kind of guess and check and see which direction is going to actually lead you where you need to go. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and in this case it does. I've already played through this, so I kind of have a good idea, but you get the picture. So I like this. The one thing that's kind of iffy is that while this really looks good, if we were going to turn this into a full-fledged game, you'd want to present the player with a set of rules where they could actually suss out each one of these puzzles by just thinking about it, and then you'd also want it so that if they're just blasting away at solutions, it would somehow punish them and interrupt the ritual, or what have you. So now we've activated the first ring of this. I'm guessing it's a planet, or maybe it's the void of space. It's the end of the universe that we're trying to block from enveloping everything. I'm not entirely certain. So now we've got another little mini game. I mean, there's basically 3 of these, where we just have to make sure that we get all of these stars aligned. And it kind of reminds me a lot of the ritual or the event inside of the Hercules movie, where you had to wait until the planets aligned so that Hades could unleash the ancient titans and try to take over Mount Olympus. I definitely get a vibe like that, because we're trying to align constellations of stars, is what it feels like we're creating, to connect 2 power stars, in order to activate this planet. And this could make a really fun point-and-click adventure. Like, I think you should take this and run with it, because, my god, the atmosphere of this game is on point. The music of this says, like, it's a little bit of magic, it's a little bit of sci-fi. You've got great particle effects. There's nothing about this that doesn't scream like very simple yet very well put together graphics that you could take and put into just about any storyline that you wanted to. Now, this is the one that actually took me a good while, because I actually screwed this up a number of times and was kind of wondering if I had borked up the game somehow. But basically, I don't think this game actually got finished, because once we're done with this particular puzzle, that is more or less it for this game, which I think is really unfortunate. I gotta keep an eye on this game, because if this gets a final completed sequence where this planet activates and completes a ritual, I definitely want to see where it goes, because that would be flippin' sweet. And this is a very long route to get this last one going. But yeah, so this is the end of the ritual. Once you see by Greybor and made in 72 hours for Ludum Dare number 39, that's basically it. And I guess this is supposed to be the culmination of the ritual. I kind of wish the pedestal that came up from the ground would do something. It would interact with the planet in some way. Whereas you zoom out, like it renews the universe, or like a god creature's face comes out and swats away the darkness. I don't know. But I really like this. You know, it's got that classic imagery from like Shinto mythology mashed up with the modern day from anime, like I was saying before, with all of these little electrical poles. I just wish there was just a little bit more. This is just so good. It's compelling. This really makes me want more. There's a mystery. What is this ritual? Who built this little ritual center? Why is this ritual important? Why is there a planet about to crash into ours? All of that's really cool. It's like that ancient Atlantean idea where a long time ago there was like one culture that figured this stuff out and kept the world safe from evil powers, and now they're gone. And we gotta try to like cobble together what's left of their culture so that the Earth doesn't explode. I don't know. But either way, nice job, Greybor. I guess I kinda get what the theme tie-in is. Something about renewing the power of the stars before it runs out. But good art. I mean, the sounds seem like you got them from somewhere, but still pretty on point. And everything works. Like, I haven't run into any bugs with this. I just wish that there was like an end state, an end screen, some animation that happened that said, "You're done, Larry. Magic has happened. You saved the world." So that's gonna be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Larry. I just figured I would start with a couple of games that I pulled off of the main website after the jam component was over and people had submitted their games. Now I've got a list of games that I'll start to pull from. And yeah, like, good job, Greybor, and Igor Falls. Nice job, both of you. And for everyone else, the entry for the Ludum Dare number 39 showcase series is still wide open. Only gotten a handful of like 13, 15 different games to start checking out, and I need lots of them. So hit the link in the video description or on the post on the Ludum Dare website, the ldjam.com, and submit your game or your friend's game or your friend's friend's game, and I would love to take a look at them. And until next time, I've been your host, Larry. Nice job, everybody, and I'll catch you later. Bye!